Welcome everybody to Tales from the Flipside, episode 276, I think. We're here tonight, little light crude, but that's all right. We're going to kick some butt, and one of us is going to talk some Black Panther. Some of us suck and didn't see it. We're going to talk a little market report. Also going to talk about the Heritage Foreign Auction, and then a little bit of news. So stay tuned. All right, gentlemen, how we doing?
Yeah, living a dream, my friend.
Sounds like a Monday.
Definitely.
All right. So let's start out with Dino pulled some news. Unfortunately, the CEO is sick, so he handed the reins over to me, and I will lead this motley crew to a good show, and we'll talk some stuff. We will go. Sounds like hold on, doing it jackassery. Looks like Tom Holland supposedly has closed a deal for Spider-Man 4, which I don't think we're in doubt of, were we?
I mean, there was a little bit of a moment there when he was like, "Well, I want to focus on maybe starting a family and all this other stuff." What it boiled down to is that like the dude's at that junction point in his career where it's like you got to make a judgment call. You either got to decide on if you were about to just become this character for life, or have everybody look at you and you be remembered for being that character, or if you try to pivot and do some other shit. And honestly, if you look at what he attempted to do with the Uncharted series, what he attempted to do with Cherry, like there's been a couple attempts on his part to like be something other than Spider-Man, and they haven't been super successful. And then also that Daisy Ridley movie that he did, that like sci-fi thing that came out that like nobody saw. Every single attempt that he has made since becoming Spider-Man to be something other than Spider-Man has not been successful. And I think finally it was just like, I need to go get the Spider-Man money. Like me as Spider-Man is successful, but me as Tom Holland may not have the box office draw that maybe he thought he did and maybe his team thought he did.
Well, also probably his initial contract was not lucrative, but coming back again, you usually get a little more weight to hit. So he probably did pretty well on this one. And I'm not saying he might not find his niche at some point. He still just looks so damn young.
I don't know. I mean, he's not a terrible actor, but like it is like I'm starting to notice that like he's kind of like Peter Parker in everything. Like, and I think I was talking to one of my homeboys about this, about actors who start to get typecast as like they're putting themselves in a character actor realm because like they may lack the range to do more than like be that character, that singular character, but it's not a character that anybody's asking for. Like Walken is just Christopher Walken, but people want Walken in shit. And so it works. Fair. But if that's all you can do and people didn't necessarily want or need that, then you are pretty much like screwed. Like you don't have the range to do more, and it can be very problematic. So
yeah, like I said, I don't know. We can see. I mean, how old is the kid? Is he 30 now?
Nah, I want to say he's like mid to late 20s.
Yeah, I mean, he could mature. He's learning from some good actors. I just think he's got a young face. He keeps playing young characters.
He's a teeny tiny actor too, so I don't think he's gonna be doing brolic roles.
Yeah, I mean he's 26. He's running.
That didn't stop Tom Cruise. He's a teeny tiny man.
Well, he has a big personality.
Yeah. And he started to look like Tom Cruise looked young, but Tom Cruise visually started to age in a way and started getting roles where you didn't look at Tom Cruise and think like, oh, high schooler / early college. I think another big issue, where was I going to go with this? I think another big issue that Tom Holland is facing is the fact that, we've seen this play out before where somebody doesn't visually look older soon enough in their career, and it just kind of like kills their career. I mean, it kind of happened with his Spider-Man predecessors. Specifically the first Spider-Man. Why am I blanking on his name?
Toby.
Yeah, Toby. Toby had that issue where it's like Toby looked super young for way too long, and when he aged out of playing like Pleasantville high schooler type characters, there was nobody looking for him, and there was nobody who had a need for him. And now he looks older. He looks like a 40-year-old man, and yeah, I think he just missed that window where it was like you looked in your 20s through your 30s, and nobody was going to respect you as being more than that.
Yeah, the joys of Hollywood, trying to look young too long and going the wrong way on you, man.
Yeah, it happens to guys. It seems like more often than not, because women can usually like work their way out of it.
Yeah, show some tatas. Get out of it.
Oh goodness. Well, I mean, good news is at least we can see this story continue, because it was going to be kind of a kick in the junk to end again and start fresh somewhere else. You're kind of invested. I'd like to see it continue a little longer.
I was calling it. If they weren't able to get negotiations figured out, we were getting Miles.
Well, I mean, it would make sense, because I'm like, I don't want to do another Peter right now.
I mean, they would kill off this Peter. We'd get like an Ultimate Universe type of situation, and yeah, moving on.
I mean, they could do Miles, but I'm okay waiting for it to. Give me something to look forward to in a few years.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Conroy passed. That was terrible.
Yeah.
The Batman.
Yeah, I mean, he was mine.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he was mine because I mean, I got 2 movies as a kid with Keaton, but as a kid watching anything animated, like it was, Conroy's voice for the most part.
What did he come back for? Did he do the Killing Joke? Is that the one he came back to do recently?
As far as animation is concerned, I believe
he voiced something right at the end here.
Yeah, he did Killing Joke, and then he actually got to play the character in live action for one thing. So.
Oh yeah. The
was it the Flash?
Batgirl, right?
It was the Batgirl component of the Flash crossover event.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did watch. Like, I don't watch a lot of that stuff, but I did tune in for that episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a suck monkey. Dino kicked this one, and I'm not exactly sure what.
Oh, that's when I threw to him. So AMC, which I didn't even realize AMC had a publishing,
That's what I was confused. I didn't know they had one.
Yeah, I had to go through
AMC. Is it AMC
the network,
movie channel,
the movie chain, or the TV?
The TV network.
TV now. Okay.
So it looks like they originally were like doing like original Walking Dead type like in that universe type of stuff. It was the first thing that they were publishing, but now they started like scooping up these small, like, I mean, basically like was that like Substrate or Sub whatever type of independent like comic book type stuff imprints. Basically, they're setting themselves up to have content to turn into something if they still choose to.
Yeah, that's not a bad development style. Comics are a cheap way to kind of just test stories, test market, and if you're going to build your own, you can kind of control those costs and control the general direction you want to go.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, the concept of this actually sounds pretty cool. I may have to like scoop this up. The comic apparently won't be out until like fall of next year, but they're doing they've already announced that they're going to be doing a San Diego Comic-Con 2023 exclusive for this book. But yeah, it's Parisian. It's called Parisian White. It's basically where it's a like a 1920s, but different than our 1920s, where color is specific to regions, and there's certain elements of power to the pigmentation, like Parisian white. There was like South American red, like all these like the color palettes and pigments like have powers and things kind of like associated with them, and like the right talent and the right pigment can make you either world changing or a world destroyer potentially. It was a cool sounding concept. I have to dig more into it, but I enjoy Kelly Sue's work. I'm a fan of Stinkovich's artwork, so I'm excited to see what this looks like.
Yeah, could be something different at least. I feel like we've seen a lot of the same out of some of the houses these days. So
I mean, yeah, I was just hanging out in my LCS, and we were talking about like what's coming out of the big two, and I'm like, I just don't care. Like, I really want to, but like, I just don't care about anything that they're putting out right now. And I have kind of turned into like this indie kid who's just like reading everything that's coming out of all these other publishers. That seems to be where the actual like worthwhile books are.
I mean, if you're looking for entertainment value, that's where you're going. I mean, spec value is dicey depending on the company and where, but if you're looking for something to actually entertain your brain, that's almost where you got to go for most of it. I mean, you might get a good story here or there, a little bit from big two, but it's fewer and far between.
Yeah.
This one popped up. So, talk about Dr. Thaddeus Ross, General Ross. Looks like it's still pointing to Harrison Ford.
So this was basically what was before they officially had cast him. It's what the description of the character was. The character matrix, as it's referred to. It's what this was. Basically being like, this is what we're looking for. This is what the description of the character is going to be. This is what the character is doing. No masquerading around it. It's like, this is what we're casting for. And so it gives a little more insight that at this point, apparently, you know, if you want to believe what Daniel RPK puts out there, that Ross will be president at the point of New World Order. So, and then it'll definitely be Red Hulk, you know, in it at some point.
All right. I mean, Red Hulk's a character we've all been kind of thinking we'll get and looking forward to, because it should be visually interesting, give us something different. And, you know, I loved him, all the animation stuff that I've seen, and it's just amusing. So I hope they do it right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting though to have for it to be a Hulk movie, but in somebody else's movie. Because I mean, that's what, you know, Thor Ragnarok was it was a Hulk movie in a Thor movie, and so this seems like this is going to be a Hulk movie inside of a Captain America movie, especially with the leader making an appearance also.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I don't know. It should be good. It should be different. I'm still not sure on Harrison. I almost wish they went with somebody less recognizable. Is that? I don't know. I don't know why I think that. Just to kind of take the character out of the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Ruffalo kind of, when you got him, he felt a little different. He wasn't a small name, but he wasn't a huge name, and it just made it feel a little more like you're getting a Hulk. And this is, I'm a little worried. I feel like I'm going to get Harrison Ford as a Hulk. You know, I don't know.
Well, I mean, again, that's another example of somebody who's kind of been typecast. And like, if you're casting Harrison Ford, you typically want Harrison Ford, but the guy had range and could do other stuff early on in his career. It's just the later years, it kind of went away. I mean, and that's kind of what happens. People get lazy. Nothing more is asked of them. It's like, no, just do that thing that we liked back in the 80s or the 90s. You know, bring a little, you know, in the case of Harrison, it's just like, oh, bring a little like Indiana Jones, bring a little Han Solo to the table. But nobody's asking them to do, you know, suspense thriller stuff like he did in the with that one that he was in with Michelle Pfeiffer, where he was like the villain.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we're basically getting Air Force One Harrison Ford, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with a little bit of probably like villainy like thrown in there for good measure for him to be like, you know, I mean, let's be real about it. Like the Herd portrayal of Ross is definitely like more villain than anything else. Like he was willing to almost sacrifice his daughter to get to the Hulk in that first movie. So
absolutely, he was a good SOB. All right, to the big one. We're not going to go heavy duty into spoilers because honestly, I got hosed. I had a sick kid and couldn't go. Carter, I don't know what his excuse was. He just didn't want to go. So Chris has got a couple things to say. We're going to probably save the heavy conversation for next week when the crew is back. But I know you had some spec stuff that kind of was a little wonky you wanted to address?
Oh yeah, because I mean, a lot of people have been talking about the sales of Tosin first appearances. I've sold quite a few this weekend myself. Um, but I think what happened is that people misheard something, and that's the reason why that book's been selling. I mean, to a certain degree, yeah, people are speculating on the fact that they could, do the Marvel thing or the Marvel Disney thing and like do an amalgam of a character to like produce their version of a character because not to spoil anything, but like the character that appears has roots in the comics, but not the portrayal that we saw on film. But yeah, the character I'm specifically referring to is Toussaint. Toussaint or Toussaint, as us Americans pronounce it, is a Haitian name, and I think people misheard that and thought he said Tosin. And I think that's a big reason why that book started leaping off the shelves. And then you just have the snowball effect started to take over, and people who were watching, things to see what was coming out of Black Panther was like, wait a minute. All of a sudden, day before and days after Black Panther releases, you can't keep a Black Panther 3 on the shelves anymore. And it's like, oh, so I need to go out there and buy. It's the you start seeing people running, and so you start running, and you don't even realize what you're running from or running towards. And I think we may have had a little bit of that scenario is what happened to cause that book to suddenly start to just leap off of eBay. Is that a handful of them started to sell because people thought they heard something. Other people were watching those books, they started to move. Some, it gets mentioned in the top 10 list because the sales have happened, and now it's just a snowball effect, and people are running and don't really realize what they're running towards or running from.
I mean, we've seen it happen. We haven't seen it happen in a while, though, because it really hasn't been too many things that were surprises once you get to the movie these days. So maybe that's why, because it wasn't real. So what was your overall opinion? Like, was it the movie you wanted to see?
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid film. I mean, again, there was definitely some elements there, characters who were introduced as a means of plot development purposes and things like that, set up for future events that are undoubtedly necessary to continue to keep this Marvel machine going. You've got to have connective tissue to other things that are coming downstream. They just felt super, at least for that one character, for me to speak around it, for that one character felt super kind of unnecessary. It's like, again, enjoyed seeing them on screen, but I was just like, they didn't really need to be there. Riri was cool in theory, and I'm excited to see what they continue to do with that character, because I was kind of like, I don't know about this going into it, and I was like, okay, I'm actually kind of excited to see what Armor Wars looks like with Riri, and with her new version of her Iron Man tech. They found a way to once again to make Namor, to make their villain potentially forgivable in the future, because he definitely did some heinous shit in this movie where you're just like, I really shouldn't like you or even like remotely tolerate your existence again in the future, because you I mean, what you did should be unforgivable, but the reason why you did it makes sense, and again, Killmonger fashion.
So did he do a better idea of Black Adam than Black Adam did?
Yes, definitely. Like, yeah, definitely the way of like being able to make a character become anti-hero in the future. The avenue is there, and it didn't happen in the same movie. Like, you still finish that movie being like, yeah, Namor, you're still kind of a piece of shit, but like we can make this work in the future. So and I will say that like one thing that's clearly being set up is the world versus Wakanda type situation. Like, us versus them hardcore is coming in the form of probably somebody's superhero team facing off with them in the near future.
Okay. All right.
We got a question. Did you like the Riri character? Haven't seen movie, but a lot of my friends did not warm up to the character. Again, I see what they were doing there. I haven't read much of Riri in the comics, so I can't do a comparison there. But the character is definitely gruff and rough around the edges in the portrayal. So it's definitely a little bit different than I think probably what the comic book version of Riri was. I think Riri is a lot more bubbly and enjoyable from what I've heard from people who are fans in the comics. So I can see where that could not be great with you, but I mean she's playing a I mean it is a young lady who is from what seems to be the south side of Chicago, going to MIT and being in a world that is really not her own in the form of like where she goes to college. So you got to put up a pretty rough and gruff, exterior to survive in a world like that. So I can see why the character was portrayed the way they were, based off of like what elements are kind of in the movie. So,
all right. So I'm gonna kind of merge two things. I got the market report, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about the heritage auction. So for those of you that the rest of the world that wasn't paying attention, Heritage Comics Heritage Auction House had their first foreign comic focused auction. There were a few highs, a lot of lows, but kind of wanted to highlight a few sales, and also just kind of talk about the whole thing. So good news is that they tried something that it's there. They put it into the market. Bad news is they kind of started this whole auction with some collection they got that a lot of it was crap. I mean, a lot of low to mid-grade stuff, a lot of run filler ASM, different countries. And it was just like, I think they thought they would do better on that stuff. And a couple of sellers that we know and a couple international sellers did put in a few big books. A few of them sold pretty well. Some of them sold over market, some sold under. It just was, what was the market doing? But they also didn't give it as much push as one would have hoped. Potentially, I just don't know if they felt like they had any big ticket items, especially as we saw that wedding issue sell in a standard auction for way above what everybody thought. A lot of these things did not do as well. They also had it on a night when there was 3 or 4 other auctions, including like graded cards and some other collectible categories. That's like the attention was just very split, I think. So I think it got some hands on some books that wouldn't have normally looked at them, but it didn't change the market, I don't think. So kind of run through a couple of them and just highs and lows. So we got a La Prensa Mexican edition. The La Prensas are pretty much kind of that first printed version in another country for most things. Brazil and Mexico kind of are pretty darn close. And, of course, Pence copies, but that's not what we're talking about here. This was a 6.0 with a Stan Lee signature. $1,300 before buyer's premium is not a significantly high price. They've sold a little better. Stan's going to get you a couple $100 a pop, and getting a La Prensa with a white cover like this in that high grade is pretty tough. Not impossible, but real tough. Higher part of the census. So didn't get killed, but it didn't break any records. I think a general kind of note I took is the Mexican ones did pretty well, at least keeping up with sales. A lot of the Brazilian stuff got killed, and I'm not 100% why. This was one that I thought would do gangbusters. It is the Brazilian edition of Amazing Spider-Man 1. It's not the first issue of the run, which is a little confusing because they jump back and forth. But it's the ASM 1 cover. An 8.5 is, I think, the highest on the census. There might be another 8.5 on CBCS. And that's a hell of a book from Brazil. I mean, it is from 69. I kind of thought this would hit 4 or 5K, and it really only hit 2,500. So I don't know. Brazil just didn't get a lot of love, and I'm not sure if it was Brazil for the books or just people were confused and going all over the place. Another Mexican one that did pretty well. It's actually a Spider-Man title, but it's the Avengers 1 in it. Avengers 1 story, Avenger 1 cover. fairly close to the original again. Not a super high grade, but it did pretty well with 1400. I honestly thought the Avengers 4 we looked at earlier might sell more than this one, but what do you know? This is one that really threw me. It's the Brazilian edition of Detective Comics 38, First Robin. Now it is conserved, brittle pages, a lot going on with it. But these really early Golden Age ones are so tough to find. I just don't think the market is ready. Honestly, the Golden Age Brazil stuff mostly got killed. This was a friend of the show's, Rob's book, and I think he was hoping for closer to unknown. But when you consider how high an American version goes, you were hoping not to be 25% of that.
I don't see where's the price?
Bottom right hand corner.
Okay.
3,200 on that one. Sorry, it's a different grab. So I mean, I don't think Rob did very well on that one, but I could be wrong. But yeah, that one I thought would do a little more, just from the universal appeal of Golden Age and a very recognizable key.
Is that a purple label?
Yes, it was conserved. So I don't know.
Is it that much of a turnoff?
Honestly, I don't know. There's only a couple of them out there, truthfully. I mean, so some of these literally, I'd be surprised if there's 20 copies in existence, and we only know of probably 3. So, and on the Brazilian group, I mean, has some of the biggest collectors in Brazil, like the big time guys, and most of them don't have one, so it's not a common item. This was a cool one that I should have bid on. I was a little light on cash, so I didn't. But this is the Lebanese first print from 1978 of the 251 cover. You got to be careful because I'm not even sure CGC knows there's 3 printings, all of these, and you got to look at and know the difference. But these are a pain. Most of them come out of binds, so to have one that didn't come out of a bind, made it in any kind of grade, is pretty tough. They've been kind of, there's only been a few of this one and a few of the 227 books that sell. I bought a 227, probably not as nice as this, for 500 a few years ago. So this really, I had some bids on some later items, and I didn't bid on this one. I should have. I wasn't sure where this auction was going to go at the time, so I went light on the books, and I probably should have bid on this one because I don't know that you'll see another one for a while. Another one that took a bath. This is Brave and Bold 28, only 2,800, which is very, very, very weak for an 8.0. Again, Brazilian books are so tough. Often the staples are rusted. 90% of the staples have rusted, and most of them are off the cover. So to find a nice 8.0, nice page color, this may be a book you don't see again, truthfully. So DC is less common. Again, Marvel DC is just less common. The buyer of this is going to be very, very happy for a long time, I think. And just a couple others. This was our friend Josh's item. It is Paquito 255, which actually has a page from Action Comics on the number 1 on the back. There apparently is a run of these. He was hoping it would break 5 figures, but it hit 6,600 with the buyer's premium. It's honestly not bad for kind of one of those things that very niche, the world doesn't even know what it's looking at right now. Now, if it was the first panel, you'd really have something amazing. But for something like this to really break the 5K mark was pretty solid. So, and then last one. This was actually, I think, the most surprising book of the show or of the auction. Journey into Mystery 85, first Loki, Brazilian edition, 1967. 7.0, which is a nice grade. I mean, we talk 8.0, 7.0, both very, very nice. But this was, I think, the highest dollar Brazil book and maybe the second or third highest book in the auction at almost, it was what, 4,500 with the buyer's premium. So it was a hell of a sale compared to some of the other ones. So I don't know if it was just the Marvel took over, but look at the ASM one versus this. It just surprised me that this one went for so much more. So not sad about it. I have one, so I'm not going to complain. We'll see if hopefully they will do another and maybe do a little better job curating that auction. Standard market report. This one was interesting. Spider-Man 1 9.8 Golden Records reprint sold for $5,000. I find this just dichotomy funny because mine was a 1.8 restored, and I was at a show one time. I think Stein was there, and I had a 1.8 on the wall restored for $3,000, and somebody had a Golden Records reprint for $1,000, and they're like, "Why is that 9.8 so much less than yours?" And it's like, it's the reprint. But just to kind of see the prices, they've kind of the reprint or the Golden Records is doing pretty well, because I mean that wasn't but a couple years ago. So those reprints are finally getting their due a little bit, getting a price bump. ASM 1, I mean, of course, is always well, but it does feel like it's a little soft compared to a minute ago.
Oh no, it's definitely soft.
So, let's see. Sorry, these are way out of order, so it's going to take me a minute. This was one that I just don't think I've ever seen, and it just is stunning. Looks like it's a magazine size, but man, that coloring is just gorgeous. Just thought I should share. Yellow dress, the white cover, the blood, it's a padow.
It's fun. It's weird because it's past that pre-code threshold. I think that throws people off. It's a beautiful cover, but I think doesn't that throw people off, you think?
Yes, it's a little later in the EC, but man, I wouldn't be sad about it. It's wild. It's visually a cool looking book.
I noticed there's another issue from another cover from this series that's pretty striking as well.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like anything else out there. So I just felt it was worth sharing.
Yeah, that's on point.
Granddaddy of horror, Eerie Comics 1 from Avon. First pre-code horror. People argue a few others, but this is kind of the universal accepted one. I know strong sale. What did he say he bid on it? Four Color said he bid on this one and got blown out of the water. I think he said he bid 18 or 2K and got blown out, thinking it went way high. But these just don't come to market. Presents really well for a 2. So congrats to the seller, congrats to the buyer. I think they're probably both real happy. This one blows my mind. 2K,
wow.
2,100. Now I agree this is the better cover versus the 1 in 50, but still, I mean, is this character going anywhere? I mean, probably eventually, but so many Ghost Riders in the world. Which one's Kevin going to use? I
mean, especially when this one's already been used once,
and not poorly, but not well.
Yeah.
What's the logic? Well, I mean, yeah. What is the logic behind this?
Probably that Marvel will go with the. I think Danny catches out. I just don't think he makes it. There's a ton of other, the female, blah, blah, blah. I just think the world thinks it's either Johnny Blaze or this Robbie, and I don't know. It feels like a big bet. You know what I mean? It feels like a post-announcement number, not a pre-announcement number.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, though, I don't know. I don't remember anybody really heavily buying this book, so I wonder how. I mean, it's a 1 in 25, but is this at a time when the 1 in 25 might as well be like a 1 in 50 or 1 in 100? Because how many people? I mean, it was a new series. It was a number one. So you got to make the assumption that this was printed out the ass. But
I mean, it wasn't Spider-Man out the ass. But back when it came out, or back near when it came out, they were available. I mean, I flipped a few, bought a few, rated a few. Never had any 9/8 this one. I did have a 9/8 of the 1 in 50. I probably regret selling now. But I mean, it wasn't uncommon. I just think everybody that has one is hoarding it at this point. So we're just not seeing much come to market. So I think it's more artificial scarcity. People are just holding.
Oh, they haven't. So they haven't seen one in a while, and they're just like, let's do it.
Well, I mean, there's 2 of them on eBay right now, and the other one they want almost $3,000 for. Buy it now, and then the highest one is $4,500 for best offer. Or sorry, no, not best offer, just straight up they want $4,500 for it. So by that logic, they actually got a deal, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's a great cover, honestly. I do like it. So I don't like it for that much. Just great Kirby art, great cover. This is not the most famous of the foxholes, but they're all starting to pick up steam. Real solid sale at almost $1,200 for this one. So just something different. This one was for Dino, and Dino didn't show up today. The Granov he's been talking about that he finally traded, that was sitting on his wall since he built his wall. This one was hot for a long time. He did some price digging for me. I didn't get a chance, but he said at one point it sold for $1,700. Said he traded his away for about $600 in trade. This is not the lowest sale. There was one somewhere in the threes, but man, this one fell from grace. Doc Joe, if you're out there, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure you paid too much for one at some point.
Damn. I think I sold. No, I didn't. No, I sold like a raw copy for like maybe half that, however many years ago.
Yeah.
Damn.
Showing this one, watching Black Adam not really sell. This is another one, like artificial scarcity. Like it is a scarce book, but everybody and their sister's trying to sell right now, and they're not moving very fast and not moving very high. So
nope, I sold a 9.6 for that much on the Hulk.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
A few years ago, yeah.
All right, a couple more. This is a book that is steadily climbing because I only remember because this had to be 5 years ago. I lost out on a 5.0, and it was maybe $500, and at that time it was a great price. Like it was a good sale at $500, and it has quietly creeped up to almost $2,500 for a character that isn't getting a ton of love in the universe, but just people love this sci-fi and the character.
So does it seem like buyers' priorities are switching?
I just think this is a rare book. It's a tough book. It's a tough black cover. I don't want to say it's a DC love. I just think somebody probably has been waiting for a while and snagged one.
43 bids. That's very respectable.
Right? Strong.
Mm-hmm.
I did see he does play a part in the there's a new Jon Stewart Green Lantern animated movie on HBO Max I watched the other day. He does play a part in that, so it's interesting to finally see him somewhere. What is this one? This was just a cover I liked too. Right? It doesn't exactly fit any genre, but
It feels out of
Wild.
place. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a golden age, even though it is 1953. It doesn't have that feel to it.
No, but it's got the headlights. I mean, I think that's like a scope, but it kind of looks
Yeah.
like a globe, and it has an interesting vibe.
Oh, that's very much a scope. She's about to get shot.
You got the blue cover, you got the full moon. It's just got a lot of stuff going for it, man. Like it checks a lot of boxes across the Golden Age collectors. So cool
Love it.
book that I've not come across.
Love it.
Let's see. Checking in on Miles. He's definitely down.
Yeah.
As is everything. What was it? It was 3K not that long ago.
It was 3K this year.
I mean, it was 3Ks halfway through this year.
Yeah, because I mean, I sold one in 3K. Like I was like, well, shit. Let me unload one of these.
So. It might have been this summer, right?
It was definitely this summer. It was before I moved back out east again. So
it's down. Not exactly a buyer, but if you're looking for one, maybe now's the time to make your move.
Mm-hmm.
I say at least before the Spider-Man 2 sequel game comes out, because I think that'll definitely cause people to
go again.
Yeah, because I mean, I actually been thinking about it because I bought a PlayStation 5 and I've been playing through the Miles Morales Spider-Man game, and I was like, damn, this is a really well done game. And I was like, where do we stand on Across the Spider-Verse? And I was like, oh, June of 2023, which would explain the pushback might have been again to get to more actors involved, but also I think they're trying to do a play where they're coordinating the release of the game with the release, like having the game and the movie released relatively close to each other.
Game first, then movie.
Honestly, with the development cycle in that game, I'd say probably movie first, then game. Like the game will probably be like a October, maybe even Christmas time release, but still having them be sort of within a window, because I mean that would have been almost a year. That would have been a solid year between the two releasing if they had dropped it in October when they were supposed to.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I'm willing to wait if they're going to tweak it and make it a little more interesting, add a little more character density. Strong sale on this puppy. These damn Zelda, these Nintendo books.
You know what? I tried to tell the difference between this version, that version, that book. I was like, okay, we're done.
That's tough. I think there's 3 versions. Different prices, different logo. One's logo on the right, one's barcode on the left or something. I don't even know if it matters to people. It doesn't seem to matter in the listing. Yeah, it's one of those. And then one more Golden Age book. One of the best. I mean, jeez. I love this one. This is one I wanted to buy when I was really into pre-code, and it always felt expensive, and it just keeps going. I mean, this is just top of the food chain for Cole. I mean, colors, everything. In my mind, this is one of the top, and very, very strong sale. So that is what I have today, gentlemen. Did you guys manage to pick anything up?
Nah.
Really?
Slow week for me.
What is going on?
Well, okay, so
this tape.
I did pick up something, and it was misrepresented. And so I went back, looked at the pictures. I was like, that ain't the book. Those are not the books that I bought. And I was like, yo, like this does not match the bill of sales. I'm gonna need for you to, because he tried to offer the oh, let me throw some money, but I was like, nah, because I'm not in the business of chasing down trying to complete a set of these. Like I bought it because it was a complete set. So it was the Mobius the 8-book set of Mobius' stuff where
yeah.
most of them were on Epic, and then like the Zero somehow ended up on Dark Horse, but it was that series in near mint condition. And so the 4 was but I have another 4, so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll look the other way on the 4. And then the 0 was like legitimately just like beat the hell up, and I was like, yeah, man, this is not
not
near
what I was
mint.
looking for.
Yeah, and he's like, and I was like, no, I just don't want to. I don't want to have to hunt for these books. If that's
I gotta chase a 1 then, or a 0.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I'm like, I'm not chasing the 0. I'm not trying to find a near mint copy of 0. I wanted these in near mint, so here, take the whole set back. So that was my one pickup of the week. So unfortunately, well, that and my PS5. So
so we won't see you again for a few weeks. You'll be busy.
So you found a PS5 even, I think, when did this freaking system come out? Like 2 years ago? And people are still trying to find it?
I think it was 2020.
Yeah, I think we're solid. It was, I think maybe, yeah, I think it was maybe 2020 or 2021 is when they dropped. I was actually able to buy 3 of them. I was able to grab 3 of them. Yeah, so if anybody needs one, I got one.
Nice. Did you get anything?
I just got tapes.
Anything really cool?
I don't think so. Nobody wants to see it.
That's depressing. We don't even have anything amusing.
Yeah.
Usually count on you for a toy.
I got one on the way.
All right. I'm behaving because I'm watching this market get a little wonky, so I'm just waiting to see what happens because I haven't seen anything that made me want to spend any money on it right now. So I guess we will see what happens. I do think Christmas time is going to get interesting as it gets closer because that's always the worst time of year to be selling and just add to it everything else. It ought to be an interesting time. So save your pennies and watch for something good, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
I think that's it. I know it's a short show, but we're a small cast and we were focused and we didn't have no tomfoolery. Next week, I expect we'll have a bigger crew and we'll maybe do a more thorough review of Black Panther. And we will see you all next week.